And we are live. Welcome into another edition of the HyVee Homestretch here from your hometown Oskaloosa HyVee. My name's Emery Songer, and I'm, as always, joined by the smartest man I know, Cleet York.
You must not know many people.
Cleet, how's it going today?
Awesome. How you doing tonight?
Fantastic. First thing that we always talk about is the meal today, and I saw it again listed out there outside the door as I walked in. It's unbelievable. What's on the menu today?
Well, tonight we've got a grilled pork chop dinner. We thought of this one last week when the weather was 50, and then happened to be the coldest day of the week for Ben to go outside on the grill. So I owe Ben one for this. So we got a grilled pork chop dinner, huge baked potato, veggie and Texas toast for only $5.
So that's roughly like $1.25 for each article of that meal.
It is. Divide it up however you want. $5 though. It's an incredible deal. Best deal in town.
Think about that. That's just insane. And when you say a big baked potato, these are jumbo potatoes.
Yes.
So and I can definitely
a meal upon it in and of itself.
I have to take that home to the wife. I can't finish it with all the food that I get here at these meals, and I'm only paying $5. It's an absurd deal, but
it is.
I mean, one thing that is absurd is your memory, and the second thing is the fact that we have a brand new slate of deals that started today with the 1st of February. So, Cleats, show us what you got.
All right. So our first deal that we've got Tombstone pizzas. They're 4 for $10, which is an awesome deal and great for the big game this weekend. We also have That Smart bananas for 25 cents a pound. Green seedless grapes, only $1 a pound, which is an incredible price. Keebler Fudge Shop cookies for $1.48 each. Kellogg's cereals, 3 for $5. Angel Soft bath tissue, 12 double rolls for only $4.79. Extra laundry detergent, just $1.69 a bottle. And 24 packs of Busch Light, $16.99 all month long.
You did it.
Made it.
You did it. Unbelievable. Okay, so all of those deals are good for the next 28 days, essentially.
Yes.
So be sure to come in and enjoy that here at HyVee. So with that, of course, Thursdays are our day. Thursdays are the day we do the show, and Thursdays are the day that you give people a fantastic meal at a very affordable price.
That's right.
What's next Thursday?
Next week, we're just going to go back to one of our classic staples. We're doing the half slab of ribs, huge baked potato, green beans or corn, and Texas toast for only $8.
I just don't.
Another great bargain.
I just don't know how you do this, Cleet.
We try.
It's a pretty regular occurrence, especially in between all the things that you juggle on a day-to-day basis in the store. All you care about is saving people, Oskaloosa, and We're
all about
money.
Deals. So I've actually got a new deal that I want to tell people about. So we're going to have Perks Saturdays. So along with our February great deals that are good every day, we're going to have Perks Saturdays. So every Saturday in the month of February, when you come in and spend $100 on groceries, we're going to give you $10 off instantly when you swipe your Perks card. Just $10 off.
I am speechless at that, Cleet.
It is.
So we're eventually we're on a way to, like on a path that we're going to end up getting free groceries at some point, right?
The deals are crazy. And the beauty of it, for years we did our fuel saver.
Right.
But now we're really going to emphasize the perks of having the Perks card. So every Saturday, spend $100 on groceries, you get $10 off. And on top of that, we've got a couple of other great deals. On Saturday, when you swipe your Perks card, we're going to have Hormel bone-in pork shoulder roast for only 79 cents a pound when you swipe your card. I can see the expression on your face. That's cheap.
No, this is seriously, folks. If you don't come in and enjoy these deals, it's in the shopper. You come in, you can ask anyone who works so they can help you out. Signs are everywhere.
Yep.
Cleet, this is unreal. I love coming to this store and doing my grocery shopping, and I appreciate it.
We're glad to have you, Emery.
I'm glad that you get a chance to talk with me about it every Thursday. So thanks.
You're always the first to hear.
And I'm the first to take advantage while I'm still in the store as well.
There you go.
Cleet, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next Thursday.
All right, have a great night.
We got a full show for you here tonight on the HyVee Homestretch, and we're going to talk a lot of basketball, but we're also going to talk about some other things that include basketball you might not think about. Later on in the show, we'll be talking to Bailey Rhymes. She is a student at William Penn University, but she is the president of the Penn Zone student section and also is a student assistant in the athletic department. We'll have a lot to talk about with her later on in the show. Eddyville-Blacksburg Fremont boys basketball has had an unbelievable season, just 2 losses all year. They have a huge matchup coming up against Linville-Sully on Friday as part of our Game of the Week coverage on KBOE. We're going to talk about that with their head coach, Travis Stout. He'll talk Rocket basketball with us and preview that matchup. Also, later on in the show, we are going to talk women's basketball for William Penn University with one of their players, Jenna Santee. She's a junior guard. But first, we'll talk to the women's basketball coach, Steve Williamson. He's going to join me right after the break on the HyVee Homestretch on the No Coast Network.
Hot deals just got super hot with daily super hot deals. This Friday, red seedless grapes are only 88 cents a pound. One day only, tomorrow, Friday, February 2nd. Plus, look in your mailbox for more red hot deals from HyVee.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your face storm a sandcastle? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? Right now, your mouth could be tongue-bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
If you like to save money and save time, then this is what you'd call a really big deal. HyVeeDeals.com is where you'll find hundreds of deals, all on one mobile-friendly website. HyVeeDeals.com makes saving money easy with digital coupons, weekly ads, fuel savers, and more. For one-stop savings, start here. Get all the latest deals at HyVeeDeals.com today.
HyVee Homestretch back on the air. My first guest this evening is the women's basketball coach, William Penn University, Steve Williamson. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Very nice to see you again.
Saw you last night.
Yep.
Holy cow, what a performance up there at Mount Mercy at the Hennessy Rec Center. I talked to Jade Rogers, your assistant coach, and she said, man, those girls for Mount Mercy, they shoot really well at home. They do a really good job of shooting at home. And then you guys go out and you shoot 64% from the floor and 68% from three. I know you can't draw that up for every single game. Sometimes the shot's just not going to be there. But what did you see specifically that worked last night?
I thought our defense played really well that first half and really got us going. And I thought offensively, what got us the shots that we needed offensively is we were moving the ball. We had girls that were penetrating, girls like Jenna that was doing a good job penetrating, kicking to our open shooters. Our shooters had their feet set, and they're taking shots within the flow of the offense. They weren't trying to create their own shot. So, you do that, and you get penetrate, you get good looks. It's easy to knock down those shots when your feet are set. It's just like catch and shoot in the gym. So I thought that helped us a lot. Watching some film today, I thought we did a really good job of sharing the basketball.
It was fun to watch too.
Yeah.
I mean, every shot that went up, legitimately felt like they were all going in. But that also included the inside game as well. Tyra Johnson, the last couple of games, has had some increased minutes, and she had a very nice game off the bench. Between her and Vashti Wabarochi, you still got 20-plus points between the two of them, 10-plus rebounds between the two of them. I know Vashti gets a lot of the headlines. She was a national player of the week a couple of weeks ago. But having a bench player that can come in when Vashti gets into foul trouble like she did last night, or if she's struggling at any point because she's a focal point of the defense. Yep. Having Tyra Johnson with a big game, I'm sure that helped you on Wednesday as well.
Oh, it was huge. Having Tyra coming off the bench, I mean, we need that. We need some production off the bench, not just at our post position, but all of our guard spots, all of our inside players. But Tyra took advantage of an opportunity, and she made the most of it. And, she finished inside. She got a lot of rebounds for us. She did a great job on our pick and roll stuff offensively. And she just she played within herself. She didn't try and do more than what she should have. She played within the flow of the offense. She played under control. And we need that going forward.
When you look at your record overall, it's 16-5. You guys are 10-2 in heart play, which I didn't expect coming in. I asked you this after the game, but for those who didn't get a chance to hear that conversation on KMZN last night, realistically, what did you expect from this team? Because for me, I'll be honest, Coach, I didn't see 16-5 and 10-2 with a first-year head coach.
Yeah, going into the season, I was going to be happy to be 500, because you don't know the coaching change and a lot of new players that didn't play last year. You look at that roster, the girls that played were Vashti, were Sarah Hansen, and other than that, you had bits and pieces of people that played here and played there, but they really weren't main contributors. I mean, our starting point guard was on the JV team last year, and she's leading us in minutes, and she's one of the top in the conference in assists. You have Kate, who hardly played last year as a freshman, and now this year she's one of our top shooters. So I think what helping us is girls are stepping up. They got an opportunity to show what they can do, and they're stepping up and producing for us. And yeah, I mean the record is nice, but now we're at where we are, and now you want more, and we got to keep striving to get better and better every day, and not settle to just be average. And I think the winning's been good, but I think also the winning's kind of inflated some egos right now. We got to make sure we get those under control and keep trying to get better every night.
I read Bill Simmons' book of basketball. I don't know if you've read that. The disease of more. As soon as success is tasted, everybody wants a little bit more of it, and that involves a little bit of me as well. So that's something that is not a terrible problem to have because you're winning games.
Yeah.
So now, as we talk about winning games, when you take a peek at the Hart standings, you guys are in a North Division that, obviously no disrespect for you or any of the North Division schools, but clearly the weaker of the two on the women's side. And you guys have not lost a game, knock on wood, yet in North Division play. You're 10-2 in the conference, as I mentioned, but you look to the South side, and you've played 2 of those teams and lost. You have 2 more of those teams in Mid-American Nazarene, who's the top-ranked team of the rankings. They're a top 10 team. And then you have Central Methodist, who William Penn did beat a couple of times last year. But at the same time, they're receiving votes. They are an incredibly talented team. And the reason they're probably not ranked is the fact of how many tough teams they have to play twice on their schedule within the South Division. So with that being said, Coach, winning the North Division is nice, but only one actual conference champion in the regular season gets that automatic bid and gets the number 1 overall seed as you head into the conference tournament, which means hosting games. I mean, it's a big deal to try to get those tiebreakers, and if you win the rest of your games, you're going to be in pretty good shape to do that. Obviously, you want to win the rest of your games, but at this point, what do you see that you can work on and try to get those upsets on the road against Mid-Am Naz and Central Methodist?
You know, it's the same thing we talked about last night after the game. We got to play a complete game. I mean, I think we've been in games where we start off really good, and then we kind of, take it easy and relax and coast towards the end of the game. Last night we played a great first half. Like I said, we're up 40-17 at halftime. We came out in the third quarter and let our guard down, let them start shooting the ball, and they never got back in the game. But still, you don't want that downtime. You want to have that mentality that you're gonna go finish a ball game. We got to learn how to finish games. We've had some close games that we've done good in. The Grandview game, we finished that game at the end of the game. But again, that was a game we were up, and we let them back in the game. So we got to work on that. We still got a long ways to go offensively. Just playing smarter, playing harder, playing better. Defensively, there's some things we got to work on. But every day, I mean, I tell our kids you can't be satisfied where we're at. Where we're at in conference is nice, but we still got 2 huge games coming up, and we haven't beaten a top team in our league. And until we do that, we're not going to get any respect.
Well, at 10-2, you'd think that you're in really good shape, but I mean, you have 1 loss, you could fall to 4th all of a sudden. I mean, it is really cutthroat the way that this conference is with as many good teams as there are at the top. With that being said, your team, one thing that I love about it is there's the cast of characters. Jenna, Sarah, and Kate played every second of the game on Saturday against Avila, and they all played heavy minutes again on Wednesday. I talked to Coach Henry a couple weeks ago, I believe, on this show, and one thing that he said that he wanted to do is try to limit some of his starters' minutes because he knows he's got a really deep bench. He can play 12 guys at any point, and he doesn't want guys to play 36, 37 minutes and then be broken down by the time we get to nationals, which, much like your guys' conference tournament, it gets really busy as we get further in the season. For you, though, I talked to Kate after the game against Avila, and she said, I didn't really even notice. I was just out there playing. I'm not any more tired now than I would be if I got some rest during the game. But I know as a coach, that's something that you're always kind of thinking about. What do you think about the minutes that those 3 have been playing lately, and is that something that you're comfortable with?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's definitely something I'm comfortable with because we're playing them those minutes, and I feel that for us to be successful, they need to be on the floor. And until someone else steps up and proves that they deserve those minutes from them, they're going to keep getting those type of minutes. And it's a little bit different in the guys' game and the girls' game. We're playing quarters, and so even though it's the same 40-minute game, we also have a lot more breaks in between there. That 5-minute, every 10 minutes, you get that minute and a half, 2 minutes where, it's an extra timeout. That helps a little bit. And the girls are smart enough. You talk about Jen, you talk about Kate. They take great care of their bodies. I mean, they know, they watch what they eat. They take care of themselves. They're not big partiers and going out and doing stuff to put their bodies in bad condition. So that helps also. But definitely you want to have depth. I mean, ideally you like to be 8, 9, 10 deep and be able to rotate people around. We just don't have that right now. I mean, that's something that we'd like to have, but we just haven't had players step up. We haven't had players take that opportunity that they get to prove that they can come in and play 15, 20 minutes. Like Tyra did the other night. She stepped up. Rochelle Parks has stepped up, but they're both post players. Gianne Geraldo has stepped up a little bit lately. She's more of a 4-man. But we need another guard to step up, and we lost another guard, Shemaya Oliver. She broke her hand the other night, so she's done for the year. And she was the closest one. So now we need like a Bry or a G or a Morgan or someone else to step up and produce. So these guys aren't playing that much.
Well, Morgan did when you did put her in up by 20. She got fouled intentionally for a while, which was frustrating, I think, both of us equally. But she knocked down 7 of her 8 free throws. So, I mean, there's something positive when she got on the floor. But winning's the name of the game. Yep. You want the 5 out there that is going to help you win. We talk about the really good teams that you play, but you feel like at some point one of these teams that you feel like you should beat, it happens to everybody. that you're going to lose to. And Coach Henry felt that way against Mount Mercy last night going into the game. Well, after the game, he's like, maybe we're better than I honestly think that we are. You have Graceland on Saturday, a team that you went down in much. It was very similar to the game we saw. You didn't shoot nearly as well down in Lamoni as you did in Cedar Rapids last night, but you still had a dominant game. You were able to get out in front early and were able to use that cushion to win the game. Second time around, not always seeing the same team do the same things. What are your thoughts on the Yellow Jackets coming in Saturday?
We played them down there. They did not have two of their better players. Their leading scorer was not playing at the time. Post player they got, and she's back now. They also did not have their point guard, so their really good shooter was having to try and play the point for them, and that took scoring opportunities away from her. So now she's back. So they're going to be a lot different team, and then we're going to be different also. Like one of the things that Sarah Hansen's not going to be playing Saturday because due to the National Guard duty. So that's going to there's one of your top scorers not going to be on the floor, and she does step up and make plays on defense from time to time. So that's what we talk about. It's an opportunity for someone else to step in and play. So we got to adjust to that, but we got to come out and play. That's the whole name of the game. Take care, worry about what we need to do to be successful, and come out and play hard and play smart and play the way we want to play and dictate the game. Don't let them dictate how we're going to play. And we talk about it all the time. We haven't proved anything yet. So for us to sit there and pat ourselves on the back and think that we're a great ball team and everybody's going to be afraid to play us is stupid. That's not the way to think. We got to come out and play hard, and because again, we could easily be the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th team in this conference, not the first team.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch, of course. That's at Penn Gymnasium starting at about 2 o'clock. We'll have a broadcast starting at 1:45 as the Wilmington women look to continue their winning ways, especially in North Division play, Coach. Win those games, stay within reach, maybe grab that 1 or 2 seed, get a couple of conference home games for the conference tourney. That'd be fantastic. Coach Williamson, thanks so much for joining us.
Nice seeing you again, bud.
I will be seeing you on Saturday.
Yep, we'll see you again.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. One of his players that we've talked about a lot here is Jenna Santee. She's the starting point guard. She'll be on the show right after this on the HyVee Homestretch on the No Coast Network.
Hot deals just got super hot with daily super hot deals. This Friday, red seedless grapes are only 88 cents a pound. One day only, tomorrow, Friday, February 2nd. Plus, look in your mailbox for more red hot deals from HyVee.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your face storm a sandcastle? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? Right now, your mouth could be tongue-bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
If you like to save money and save time, then this is what you'd call a really big deal. HyVeeDeals.com is where you'll find hundreds of deals, all on one mobile-friendly website. HyVeeDeals.com makes saving money easy with digital coupons, weekly ads, fuel savers, and more. For one-stop savings, start here. Get all the latest deals at HyVeeDeals.com today.
Back here on the HyVee Homestretch, live from your hometown, Oskaloosa HyVee. Still have plenty of time to come down and get that fantastic $5 meal available until 7 p.m. Currently, I'm being joined by a junior guard, the point guard for Wilmington women's basketball, Jenna Santee. Jenna, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I talked to you after a game a couple of weeks ago, and the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about really had to do with your journey at William Penn University. But you played basketball before you got to William Penn, so that's going to be my first question. Take me through just kind of your interest in basketball and kind of your development, where you went to school, high school, and then how you ended up getting recruited to William Penn.
Okay, so I started when I was really, really young. I have 2 older sisters, so I always looked up to them. My dad played in college, he was a coach, and just kind of in the family and all of that, and I stayed dedicated to it. I played AAU. I played in high school, Oak Creek High School in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and AAU took me all around the country, and we played at Iowa State in one of their facilities, and actually this is my 3rd coach at Penn, technically, because I was recruited by Coach Brown, and that's where they found me, and that's how I got to Penn and went through Scott, and now I'm with Williamson. So.
Well, let's go ahead. By the time your freshman year began, you had Coach Willie Scott, who his philosophy from Coach Brown's was very different. And of course, Coach Williamson is very different than Coach Scott, even as recently as last year. So for you, coming to William Penn, how would you, like before your college career started, what would you say, what kind of player would you describe yourself as before you got to William Penn?
I would describe myself as the player I am now, actually. Coach Williamson reminds me of my high school coach a lot. And it was very different going to Willie Scott's system because it was more fast-paced and all that, and I'm more of a poised, I bring the ball out, I kind of take more control inner than just kind of run and gun and that kind of deal. So
very chaotic stuff that Coach Scott was working on. For you, your freshman year with Coach Scott, you were on the floor an awful lot. You played a lot. We saw you out there. He had a lot of young players playing like Vashti, and you could see that like he was kind of gearing for the future. Your sophomore year, I thought you'd transfer, honestly. I had no idea where you were, and then I found you on the JV roster, which was kind of a shock to me because I'd seen you play so many minutes. And then, again, I come in and I start going to the early season games, and then there's your name, and then you're getting introduced in the starting lineup. So there's got to be quite a story that goes along with that. So take me from the start, your freshman year, even before the season, and what you learned about Coach Scott and the system that you were running and kind of what your role was there, to your sophomore year, and then to where we are now.
yeah, so going into school, I always was taught that you have to try your best, work hard. So no matter what, whoever the coach was, I was going to put all it out there. And I did that, and that's how I earned my minutes. I went through the season, wanted to come back for my education, all that, loved the school, and come back, work my butt off again, and it just, my vision, his vision didn't line up. And so I either had to take the opportunity, I could have transferred, I could have redshirted, I could have that, and I made the best out of my opportunity. I got to play schools from JUCOs and all these D1 players in Kansas City, and I tried to make the best of it, try to become a better leader for the girls that I was playing with. And then when I found out he was leaving, it was kind of like a whole new book, a new chapter to my story, let's just say. And I had to motivate myself over the summer. And again, going to my junior year, leave it all on the court, and that's where I am now. So
Coach Williamson actually said that, you know, he wasn't sure you were even going to be in the program when he got there. When he showed up, he knows how it works. When coaches change, players sometimes leave programs, transfer, play somewhere else, decide they don't want to play anymore. For you, kind of take me through when you were introduced to Coach Williamson and what your initial thoughts were about playing in his system and for his program.
I was very excited. He was very upfront, honest, and that's all I can ask for a coach. We have discussions, and he'll look at me and be like, okay, that wasn't good. And I'm like, yeah, I know that wasn't good. It's good to have that relationship, and I could just tell by his character in his first meeting that I could, as a point guard, connect with him, have a relationship with him, and I can go in his office and talk about plays and what we want in the game. And it's a great feeling to have, and I felt very comfortable with him when I got to know him because he's an aggressive coach, but off the court, he's a family man. He wants to get to know you, so it's the best of both worlds in my eyes. So.
Well, and you're winning games. So,
yes, that's always great.
Yeah.
Keep him happy.
Okay, so at the beginning of the season, I got a chance to talk with Coach when I saw the roster come out, you know, and I saw your name, which was great. You know, I saw Vashti's name, Sarah's name, a lot of familiar faces. I knew the team had some talent to it, but he was talking about Gianna Grumbian, who was going to, you know, in his mind, be one of his lead guards, but she was injured. She, you know, and, you know, Jenna Santee, who I obviously was familiar with, was going to run the point. A few games later, he said, I think Jenna's doing a really good job. I really like what she's given. Gianna was still hurt. You keep moving forward here. Eventually, Gianna gets healthy, but at that point, Coach Williamson has 100% trust in what you're doing and kind of how this system is working. You can, I mean, it's obvious what the offense does. You want to get the ball into the high post. Don't commit turnovers and try to get an open look either inside or in the three-point arc. As you were kind of getting adjusted to in-game situations with this offense, how comfortable were you and confident that, you know, the minutes you had, you were still going to be able to have as the season wore on?
It helped me a lot because at first, as you can see, I'm not much of a scorer, I'm not much of that, and I like to get people where they want to be, and it helps me get comfortable with that. And I guess having that more of a leniency of knowing it helped me take a little more time to it, and now I'm such into my own flow. But I took the opportunity, and I just had to keep going with it. How he was talking before, it's time for girls to step up, and that was my opportunity to step up, and I've taken full advantage of it now.
Yeah, well, now we're 21 games into the season, 12 games within the conference. You played in this conference a couple of years ago. You know how good these teams are. I think your freshman year was the year that 3 of the 4 Final Four teams in the national tournament came out of this conference. So there's a lot of great competition here. Realistically, before the season, what did you think this team was capable of?
I thought we were capable, like he said, just going 500, kind of getting our foot in the door in the conference. Conference has changed, teams have added since I've been here, and teams are good, and then you have recruits coming in, and they'll pick other schools, and it's one of the hardest conferences for sure for girls basketball, and it's great to be part of it because every game there's competition. Even the lower teams or the higher teams, you don't know what's going to happen. There's upsets last night, and it's just a great conference to be part of.
Well, with that being said, we can see statistically you thriving in Coach Williams' offense. You're one of the top 2 in assists on the season within the conference and just in general within conference players, averaging well over 5 assists a game. You had 10 again last night. But your shooting, your percentages, you started out really rough the first 10 games or so from 3-point, but then you had a great game down at Peru State and just kind of kept that momentum up. I think you only took like 4 or 5 shots last night, but you made 3 or 4 of them, and with some free throws, you ended up with like 15 points as well. So, as like the 4th scoring option and the traditional pass first facilitating point guard, this team kind of has a very different vibe to it, a lot more controlled vibe on the offensive end. What we don't see is statistically how Coach Williamson has changed the defense. And he asked everybody to play defense. Sarah Hansen sat in that chair, and he was just like, nobody's ever really asked me to play this kind of defense before. For you, how was that adjustment going from the run and gun chaotic style that Coach Scott would really like to play and wanted you guys to score 80 points a game, whereas Coach Williamson really wants to hold the opposition under 60 points a game and really have a controlled environment on both ends of the floor?
I enjoy it. I ran that system when I was in high school, more controlled. My high school coach controlled every step I took. So having that, it's more comfortable in my shoes because I know what he wants compared to Helter Skelter, then my brain's going 100 miles per hour. So it really fits in his philosophy and his defensive strive and all that stuff. So.
How do you feel about the way that you guys played last night? I know I don't think you can expect to shoot 68% from the 3-point arc very often, but it was something that happened last night. 13 for 19, you hit a couple of threes as well. What about last night worked so well in that gym?
Our team wasn't selfish. We passed the ball, we got the ball moving, and it was about our team, and it wasn't about individuals, and that's great. I mean, every team has that issue once in a while, and not saying we have that, but it was nice to see that we moved the ball, and our defense really in the first half helped us. And I think everyone's buying into defense is going to get us there, not our shots, and our shots will fall. And last night we were grateful that they were all going for all of us. So
it was fun to watch for me as well. I mean, every shot, like I told Coach Williamson, it felt like it was going in from whoever was shooting it. So now is an interesting question for you. You talk about Coach Williamson kind of being the perfect kind of coach for you, especially at this level. But if there's something, I mean, there's not a lot to complain about when you're 16-5 and 10-2, but every coach is going to have certain things he wants the team to work on. So if you're the coach, if Jenna Santee is coaching this basketball team, what are a few things that we're working on in practice?
Defense, communication for sure. Everyone needs to communicate from the 5 to the 1, all that, because we play different zones, we play many different defenses, and also just keep moving the ball on offense, trying to do timing on screens because we have shooters and there's screens that are going to get them open. If they want them, well, then you have to screen properly. You have to do the timing right, and that comes from me making sure they're set up, and it comes from the 5 knowing where to go. So mostly now that we have the plays under our belts, it's more about timing to get those perfect situations.
Saturday you play Graceland. Before we talk about Graceland as a whole, Sarah Hansen won't be playing due to her United States Army obligation, and when I had a chance to chat with her a few weeks ago, that's an interesting story. It's something that a lot of women's basketball teams don't have to deal with, one of their leading scorers being gone for nothing that has anything to do with school. But for you, in the last game that she missed was the Peru State game, and that was the game that really got you going. You hit 6 threes in the game. You were really looking for your shot in that one. Graceland's got a little bit more complete of a team than Peru State, but what kind of changed in your mentality against Peru State that kind of, I think you scored over 20 points in that game. What kind of changes in your mentality when Sarah's not there?
More that I don't have that one person that I have Kate, and I have Sarah. I knew that I had to step up in some way, and they were falling, and it was great. And I'm just going to keep playing basketball and how I do it. Last night, it fell into my hands. It's mostly just coming to me. I knew that Sarah's not there. Someone else has to step up. And hopefully the guards who are coming in behind her are going to step up this weekend too. So.
Okay, you haven't had a lot of time to digest what Graceland is going to do, but like Coach Williamson said, they were a very different team when you saw them the first time on the road to what they're going to be bringing to the Penn Gymnasium. Teams that are winning a lot of games like you guys, it's almost a matter of time. It's almost a ticking time bomb of losing a game you don't think you should lose, and you're trying to protect against that. This kind of feels like one of those type of games. For you, especially knowing that you have a couple of tough games left and you'd really like to try to improve your conference record, what do you see in Graceland in the preparation you've done so far, and what are you hoping that you guys do well against the Yellow Jackets?
What we really need to do is defense. It's really what's going to stop them. They're shooters. They have a new point guard not new point guard, but to us will be new, and a post player. And if we can stop them, we'll be satisfied. Again, our offense will come. I mean, we have Sham, who is so athletic, just because if we might not be hitting threes, we have drivers, we have our posts, and in our last game we kept getting it down to the post and they were making moves. So we'll be okay on the offensive side. I think defensively is where we need to step up and again communicate.
Well, that's the one thing that we'll see. William Penn will play against Graceland in Penn Gymnasium here in Oskaloosa starting at 2 o'clock, and we'll have a broadcast on 99.5 FM and AM 740 KMZN and RadioKMZN.com starting at 1:45. Jenna, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank
Fun
you.
to talk to you. We'll see you on Saturday.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll take a break. When we come back, I'll be joined by Travis Stout, the Eddyville-Blacksburg-Fremont boys basketball coach, talk about his postseason draw and what he's got coming up on Friday against a very tough Linville-Sully team. That's coming up right after the break on the No Coast Network.
HyVee's hot deals just got super hot with daily super hot deals. This Friday, red seedless grapes are only 88 cents a pound. One day only tomorrow, Friday, February 2nd. Plus, look in your mailbox for more red hot deals from HyVee.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your face storm a sandcastle? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the do.
If you like to save money and save time, then this is what you'd call a really big deal. HyVeeDeals.com is where you'll find hundreds of deals, all on one mobile-friendly website. HyVeeDeals.com makes saving money easy with digital coupons, weekly ads, fuel savers, and more. For one-stop savings, start here. Get all the latest deals at HyVeeDeals.com today.
Back here live on the HyVee Homestretch, my next guest is the boys basketball coach, Eddyville-Blacksburg-Fremont High School, Travis Stout. Coach Stout, as always, thanks so much for giving some time this week.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Emery.
I talked to you on my Wednesday radio show, South by South Central, last week. Had a chance to kind of unpack your district. Let's just start right there. We'll talk about how good this team has played this season, but you have a couple of conference foes, Albia, Davis County, that are in there. A team like Pekin could be a little interesting, but overall, what were your thoughts on the district when it came out?
Well, when it first came out, I kept looking for Pella Christian because typically
they've haunted you.
Yeah, that's who has owned our district over the years. But there's some good teams in there, and we're going to have to prepare for every one of them. And we don't know a lot about Williamsburg, so we'll have to scratch a lot of stuff together, call a lot of people, and try and break all that down. But we feel like we could get the number one seed and go from there.
Well, it looks, in the way they do the districts, the coaches talk, but a lot of it comes down to wins and losses. Wins and losses have been nice to Eddyville-Blacksburg-Fremont this season. A 2-loss season so far. You do have a really interesting matchup tomorrow, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Grandview Christian School, they're, to me, the favorite in 1A.
Yeah.
Oskaloosa, they're, to me, the favorite in 3A. Those losses are non-conference losses, and good competition. I mean, you want to talk about Pella Christian and why they're so dangerous in 2A is because of all those really good teams they see during the regular season. Right. You guys kind of got that little complex going as well. You'll face a top 10 team in Linville-Sully on Friday. Schedule-wise, what do you think you guys gained by playing this tough schedule?
Well, you know, experience, number one, and hopefully that experience pays off in the postseason. Playing a team like Oskaloosa, you know, you don't know how far you're going to get in the districts and sub-state and state, but you know, if you have to play a team that has good height and good athleticism, you know, we've at least had that experience. And you look at a team like Grandview Christian and a kid like Grant DeMolinari, lightning quick, so you get that experience playing somebody that's got really good quickness, and you have to amp up your team defense, and you know, and we knew we were going to play tough teams, and we were looking at that at the beginning of the season like, okay, here's a chance to grow, here's a chance to find out where we're at, what we need to improve on, and get better because of that experience.
Your conference didn't, I mean, you didn't waltz through it, but you didn't lose any of your games in conference play. That in itself, especially when you're playing everybody twice, is quite the accomplishment. For a 12-game conference schedule, Coach, how did you feel that the kids responded knowing that it was going to be a challenge, especially knowing you probably see a couple of these teams in the postseason as well? Yeah,
well, and the guys, you know, from day one, they wanted that conference championship, and going in, we thought, well, there's a lot of parity in this conference this year. Let's set our goals to finish in the top two, and at that point, I guess we just didn't know how competitive our kids were. You know, we talked a little bit about that last time, and it just seemed like we got confidence after each win, and somehow, you know, you look at some of those games where different guys just stepped up when we needed them, and carried us through to the end. So, and again, that was a great learning experience for this group of guys.
I love the team's makeup. I talked to Coach Williamson, and it just seems like he's got the right kind of puzzle pieces that so many different players are capable of doing so many different things. It's not like, you know, when you watch some of these major college basketball programs, for instance, it's everybody's kind of the same type of player. Mm-hmm. You got guys like Gabe Larkin, and I watched him against Oskaloosa. It wasn't a competitive game at the end of the game, but he was still not afraid to go after the Cole Henrys and the Xavier Fosters and try to, you know, get 2 points. You know, you have guys like Trey Moore, you have some good outside shooters. KJ McRae, for a guy that's not really that tall, is one of the most fierce and, you know, physical rebounders I've seen, especially in the Class 2A level. You got a lot of interesting pieces here. How did you? And you know you've known these kids, so this might be, you might have to recall way back, but as this team kind of got pieced together with these kids moving through the ranks and getting eventually to the varsity level, were you trying to figure out what the best way to manage all these different pieces? Yeah,
you know, you take a look at that, but essentially you just throw them out on the court and just say,
roll the ball down, let's play.
You know, really, honestly. But you know, we felt like within Trey, Wyatt, and KJ, that we were going to have 3 guards that would just go at people every night, and they weren't afraid to get physical. They loved playing defense, and great team players, love to share the ball, and so you kind of start to look around that, and then you look at a guy like Gabe Larkin, you're like, you know, that the guy in the middle, you know, he's perfect for that fit with those 3 guards, and then you start looking at some of the other guys. And talking to them about their role, and they bought in 100% at the beginning of the year, and so you know, just from that standpoint, and they're great kids, you know, and they don't care who's going to get the points that night. They want to compete and they want to win.
And winning is something that I think cures a lot. I talked to Coach Williamson earlier sometimes, because he said, you know, one thing that we're also battling in practice is, you know, people think that they need to be playing more. You know, they need, you know, sometimes when the success comes, people think, you know, the disease of more, as Bill Simmons said in his book of basketball. For you, you know, this is very different. This is high school basketball. This isn't college players who, you know, think that, you know, who may have been their best player, but these guys and the chemistry that you have in a team can also win you some games, not necessarily just on skill. And we've seen that with certain teams that just collectively as a unit, they function better as 5 than another team did as a kind of disoriented 5 on the floor. For you, how do you feel about your rotation and any 5 that you put out there? Can they all coexist really well on the floor?
They do coexist really well. You know, and I look at a guy, and this kind of just really, puts into a really good summary of what this team's all about. Derek Walker, a senior captain, was struggling. He knows his role. He's a three-point shooter. He takes care of the ball. He's where he should be on defense. He blocks out every time. He's very smart, got a very high basketball IQ, and he was struggling with his three-point shot about a couple weeks ago. And I said, Derek, do you want to talk about your shooting? He goes, and he got a big smile on his face. He said, Coach, they're not going in. And I said, well, are you okay? And he goes, they'll start going in sometime. And that's kind of the attitude of this team. And when they all we got kids coming off the bench, they know primarily when they get in the game, their number one priority is to play defense and to rebound. And I think we're at the point now with some of those kids coming off the bench and blending with some of the starters, as we'd like to see more offensive production out of them. And not that the kids on the court, the starters, can't maintain a high level of scoring, but as we get in postseason, I think bench points are huge. And
we see that with some of the teams that you've run into, like the Pella Christian teams, that they may have one or two amazing players, but the seventh or eighth guy can also come in and be somebody that can knock down a shot or kind of get going when the second units are out there, and that changes everything. They can take a 10-point game and make it a 20-point game really quickly. Who are a couple of those bench guys that you're hoping to step up?
Well, Ryan Adams, he's our sixth man. He brings a lot of energy, and he loves defense. He's very physical. He can guard on any given night, 4, sometimes 5 positions. A kid like Jaden Herb, who he's kind of struggled, from a standpoint of making a lot of threes this season. We thought, he'd come in and blend in really well. And he's getting there. He's overcoming some injuries throughout the year. And a kid like DJ Stout, who kind of comes in and he takes care of the ball for us, and he's been shooting well from the outside. We just need to get him some more looks and maybe a few more minutes down the road here too.
Okay, so I am the sports director at KBOE and KMZN, and one of the things that I say this, I'm not like the best dude ever, but when we split our station up, one thing that I wanted to do was Oskaloosa can be on KMZN, and I can do a game of the week on 104.9 FM KBOE. And of course, Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont, one of the several schools that are within our area. Mm-hmm. I saw the boys basketball team last year, knew a bunch of pieces were coming back, thought they were really fun to watch, so I got a few Eddyville games on there. And as I was getting through the season, I saw late in the season, what would be our last Friday for game of the week in basketball, Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont plays a non-conference doubleheader against Linville Sully. And I know the girls' teams are going to be very competitive with each other. An Eddyville team coached by Tony Fenton against what is a historically great team coached by Jerry Holsing. But the boys' game, we're talking about a team that scores the ball with high efficiency in Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont, and then a Linville Sully team that's been in the top 10 in almost every poll all season long. They have been running through the South Iowa Cedar League, and we get kind of a dream area matchup here. Two schools within 25 minutes playing each other and with legitimate hopes to go deep in postseason play. So I'm sure you guys have played them in the past, but this season's going to be special. I know you've gotten a chance to take a look at them. What do you think of this matchup on Friday?
It's a tough matchup. I mean, I see a lot of similarities between the two teams. They've got some great players. Van Wyk, he's a beast. He can hurt you inside, he can hurt you out. Hansen's a great shooter. Vanderlinden is a phenomenal guard. And I know I'm leaving out a couple here off the top of my head, but the thing about Linville Sully is they're always so disciplined defensively. And you're not going to get a lot of breakdowns on the first rotation or second rotation through your offense, so you've got to be a little more patient than normal. Personally, I'd like to see a very fast-paced game. I think that would benefit us. And when you go into Linville Sully, it's tough to get wins there. My 8 years, we've managed one. So, but tonight at practice, we kind of went over the scouting report with the guys, and I've seen that look before. They love challenges, and then they'll be ready tomorrow.
I'm excited to see what happens with it, but for you, philosophically, Nick Harthorn, his team scores points, but he scores points, when he thrives on opponents' mistakes. And you and I can agree that, the bottom half of the South Iowa Cedar League has some teams that really struggle even to bring the ball up the floor. But they do get challenged, just like you guys have challenged yourself. They got challenged in conference against teams like Montezuma and teams like Keota who have had really good seasons. For you at this point, I know this is a non-conference game. You already finished up your conference, but what do you want to see executed well? Because the games that really matter are not too far away as well.
Yeah, and we talked about that too tonight. We've had stretches here toward the end of the season where we've had to rely on somebody stepping up their offensive game, and I would just like to see more consistency offensively. We talked about improving our three-point percentage in these last 3 games, improving our free throw percentages, and some of that just comes with confidence. We've had guys on some nights just aren't very confident in their shots, but defensively, we've really harped on help defense, stopping straight line drives, and that'll be a challenge tomorrow because they've got some guys that are quick and they can get to the glass in a hurry. So I guess those are the things we're going to focus on tomorrow.
And it's going to be fun. You can check out the game of the week on 104.9 FM KBOE, Eddyville, Blacksburg, Fremont, a doubleheader against Linville Sully. John Martinson on the call with the pregame show starting at 5:45, with the girls tipping off around 6, and of course that fantastic boys matchup to follow. Coach Travis Stout, Eddyville, Blacksburg, Fremont boys basketball, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
All right, we have one more guest for you this evening, and it is Bailey Rhymes. She is a William Penn student, and she also is the president of the Penn Zone, among other things. We'll be chatting with her about all things that she does at William Penn University and why it matters to you, especially on Saturday as William Penn's basketball teams will be playing at home. That's coming your way right after the break on the HyVee Homestretch on the No Coast Network.
Hot deals just got super hot with daily super hot deals. This Friday, red seedless grapes are only 88 cents a pound. One day only tomorrow, Friday, February 2nd. Plus, look in your mailbox for more red hot deals from HyVee.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your face storm a sandcastle? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? Right now, your mouth could be tongue-bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. Your mouth wants you to. Do the do.
If you like to save money and save time, then this is what you'd call a really big deal. HyVeeDeals.com is where you'll find hundreds of deals, all on one mobile-friendly website. HyVeeDeals.com makes saving money easy with digital coupons, weekly ads, fuel savers, and more. For one-stop savings, start here. Get all the latest deals at HyVeeDeals.com today.
Back here on the HyVee Homestretch, and my final guest this evening is Bailey Rhymes. She is a William Penn student, president of the Penn Zone, which is the student section at William Penn University, and other things. I don't want to butcher it, so Bailey, thanks for coming into the show.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just go ahead and start there. What all do you do at William Penn University?
Well, I'm Penn Zone president. I'm a student coach for the women's golf team, and I'm the student assistant to the athletic director. Okay,
so you work with Nick Rule a lot,
Yep.
and it's his former program as well. So you know Nick, you know the athletic department and kind of the direction we're going, and that leads me right into the Penn Zone.
All right.
When I first got to William Penn University in like 2009, it was very much so the football players were there and cheering for the basketball teams, and sometimes the baseball players would come there and cheer for the basketball teams, but it was very unorganized, very loosely organized. As the years kind of went on, certain groups of students would try to revive the Penn Zone, and this seems like an actual organized attempt to have everybody cheering together over in what we call the Penn Zone. So for you, where does that passion for William Penn kind of lead, and how are you trying to encourage the other students to really be active at these sporting events?
Well, I mean, everyone wants to get crazy and support each other, and that's one of the biggest things is that our teams on campus do support one another. And so when we have basketball who's doing good, everyone wants to support a good team. That's why there's bandwagoners.
Right.
So everyone wants to come out and support the basketball teams, both of them, because they're both so good this season. And it's really fun to watch. So when you get an environment that's fun to watch and you have people who want to enjoy it, it becomes such a great environment for them because they're just having a good time. And that's all that really matters is when it comes down to is everyone has a good time and everyone knows what's going on. I mean, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, and so we try to let everyone else know what's going on so that they can come have a good time too, because we don't want to have groups like you said, where you said that they would try to be picked up by other groups and things like that. Well, we want everyone to do it together. We don't want just baseball. We don't want just women's golf or men's golf or football. We want everyone to do it together and coexist.
And that's awesome to see. Last Wednesday, a week ago yesterday, anybody who's in that gym will be talking about it probably for the rest of their lives, the crazy press defense that we saw, winning by 53 points. The energy in the first half of that game, and this goes to the community as well, was something else. So you talk about just the product that you see kind of help feed the numbers and the activity of the kids, but for you, as president of the Penn Zone, what do you try to do that does encourage everyone to try to do it together, especially watching so many good teams play on the Penn campus?
Well, something that we do that's a little different than most is we kind of heckle. Everyone likes to heckle, and so when you get a group of guys that just want to go in there and heckle, and you got the girls going in with it too, it's just a lot of fun. So I mean, we don't really have to entice them too much. They want to be there, they want to have fun, and they want to hang out with everyone.
I wanted to talk to Nick Rule as well about the new branding that we saw in the pack, and I'm sure as the student assistant you can say this. Before I even get there, let's talk about how you chose to come to William Penn University and kind of how that all came about and how you ended up here.
Well, I started out as a golf recruit. I played golf up until my spring season of my freshman year, and that's when I took on the student assistant job, and then I've been there since now. And so obviously I started out with Nick, and then when Nick went to the AD, I stayed with golf as well because that's something I enjoy and I love the coaches there. And then I went with Nick onto the other side as well, and so I can continue to learn everything that I'm trying to get towards. It's just a great environment. I love to learn, and I love to help out with whatever I can do.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from Florida.
Wow.
Panhandle.
So,
Niceville. Yes, we're nice.
Yeah, so you made quite the trek to come to William Penn University, but then you got involved very administratively pretty early on. So, and you know Nick very well at this point. So branding seems to be something that William Penn's really kind of trying to push here. And if anybody walks around the pack, it looks like there's some brand new branding that people can walk around. Can you describe that for us?
It's pretty awesome. So it's the William Penn advice on each of the pillars around the track. You'll be able to see each one of his advices, and it has the WP logo at the top, William Penn advice on the left, and then it has the year that it was made.
Yeah, which is, I think, 1699.
Yeah, something crazy like that. Don't ask me, I don't know.
It's a really long time ago, but those can also be found on the Penn's ladder. So just a real good environment, especially back in the day when people would come to the Quaker University. It had a lot to do with those Quaker values that William Penn had. So not coach of John Otteson, who's now president, when I came to William Penn on my visit, he had said, there's a family atmosphere here. It's just hard to get away from. You always want to come back, but also it's a melting pot of diversity. And as a student, as somebody that is very active within the administration and also on campus with all these students, for you, what does that diversity mean for William Penn?
I think it's such a huge thing. My best friend's an Australian, so I mean it's really cool. I have friends from California, from Nevada, from Texas, from Florida, from Louisiana. You name it, I probably have a friend from there. And I think that goes for everybody that's at Penn is you have a friend from 10 plus states or maybe even another country. And it's just really cool because you're going to know those people forever. I mean, you make your best friends in college. So it's something that lasts a lifetime. And I think that's super important, especially, I mean, I never would have met my best friend. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, and when I was there as well, I was very surprised. I think it's like 45 states or something like that in like 20 countries. So you have quite a bit of different cultures that all come to one place and they're all participating in these things. One way I get to kind of see these kids and their behavior is the new halftime entertainment that we get during the men's and women's basketball games on Wednesdays and Saturdays. A lot of new ideas I'm seeing for the first time this year. I'm sure you have something to do with that.
Just a little bit.
Take me through some of the ideas and how they came to be.
Well, halftime's usually pretty bland. So what we want to do is we want to hype it up and do something fun. No one wants to just sit there and talk it out. So we've done musical chairs, we've done relay races, you name it, we've probably done it. We've got a couple basketball games. I mean, we've done dodgeball. It's just really fun. And we're going to try to keep going all the way through conference with that because it's something that everyone can be involved with. And there's a little maybe little money prize at the end, so it's always fun for everybody.
Yeah, and one thing with the cool prizes and everything, one of my favorite games that used to be played was, hey, if you can give us this, you'll get a prize.
What's in your pocket?
Yeah, what's in your pocket? And, watching people fall over each other coming out of the stands is always fun to watch. We saw shoeless tug of war last week with the Greek week. So always fun things. You got 3 home games left, and you're going to be getting some conference home games in all likelihood on the men's side, potentially also on the women's side. Can you give us some idea of some of the ideas that you're waiting to kind of bring out the last few games here?
Well, yes. So we're going to do a couple spring break themes, and then we're going to do something called a money dash, so I'll let you guys think about that one. But it should be pretty funny, and you'll see a couple more falls and spills, and some competitives definitely come out.
And it's going to be fun to watch the games, but I'm always excited during the halftime show to see what's going on there. We actually, my partner Kylie Broadway and I, we talked about the strategies with the tug of war teams because it was just so entertaining to watch.
It was quite funny.
You said you're also highly involved with the golf program on the girls' side. Let's go ahead and visit that for a moment. Women's golf, Nick Rule has a lot to do with this, obviously, but recruiting good golfers, being able to build a team, an atmosphere that girls want to be a part of that from all over the world, and now we've seen success for a handful of years now, and there's still some high expectation of what this team can accomplish in the spring. Solid fall, as we figured it would be, but for the spring, can you give us a little preview on what the girls' golf team's going to look like?
Well, I think we're going to step it up a notch. The girls are looking really good, and they're working hard. That's the most important thing. One of the big things that we talk about, though, is communication. I mean, Coach Pearson's awesome about this. He lets everyone know that to be a good team, you got to be able to communicate with your teammates because that's important. You got to be able to know how you guys can work together, even if it is golf's a single sport, but we work as a team because we take a team score. So when it comes down to it, those girls have each other's backs, and it's going to be quite awesome to see them grow this spring.
Obviously, making another trip to nationals is the end goal. And of course, Elise Warren, who was Conference Player of the Year last year as a sophomore, just a junior. She's certainly looking to try to build on that, but it seems like you even have more depth behind her this year. You're not even really sure who the number 1 golfer is on any given day. So who are some of the golfers that we need to pay attention to?
I mean, I say pay attention to everyone that you saw last fall. They look awesome, and they're all important. They all play great golf, and I think there's going to be some moves.
So diplomatic. Didn't want to single anybody out. Okay, so just real quick, Saturday, 2 o'clock is the start of the tip. We'll have a broadcast for you on 99.5 FM and AM 740 KMZN, radio KMZN.com. If you can't make it to Penn Gymnasium starting at 1:45, but the women and men, you can't give me any more clues as to what will be happening.
Nope, it's a super secret.
Okay, so you just have to come and enjoy what Bailey's got drawn up for halftime as well, and it should be fun. And of course, we'll pay close attention to the girls' golf team, the women's golf team, as they start in the next few weeks. Bailey, thanks so much for joining us. It was
Appreciate
fun talking
it.
to you.
Thank you.
That is Bailey Rhymes, and that rounds out our show this evening. We appreciate you for joining us as part of the HyVee Homestretch. Big thanks to Bailey Rhymes for joining me here live on the show, as well as Travis Stout, the Eddyville Blacksburg Fremont boys basketball coach. Again, be sure to check out the game of the week tomorrow on 104.9 FM KBOE, KBOEradio.com, as the Eddyville Blacksburg Fremont Rockets, a girls-boys doubleheader against Linville Sully in non-conference action, with the pregame show starting at 5:45, the tip-off starting at 6. Also, I'd like to thank Steve Williamson, the women's basketball coach at William Penn University, and Jenna Santi, his junior point guard, for coming in and talking about the women, as they are now 16-5 and 10-2 in Hart play. The men also, as we know, they'll be in action on Saturday. They are now 20-1, or 21-1 rather, on the season, and an impressive 11-1 in conference play. So be sure to come out and support those teams against Graceland coming up on Saturday. For Titus Ledstring, our director here at your hometown Oskaloosa HyVee, Kenny Jones back at the No Coast Network studios. This is Emery Songer signing off for another edition of the HyVee Homestretch right here on the No Coast Network.